guests are coming in, so I just wanted to do a brief introduction before we start. So hello, everybody. My name is Annette. I'm with the Global Takeover, and I'm going to be your moderator for this session. Today, we have Matt Boda with us. I have met Matt in person. He's a wonderful, wonderful human being. He has powerful energy, and I mean, you can learn a whole lot from this guy. So before we do get into it, I just want to make just a few announcements. Just reminding everyone, this is a charitable event. So if you go to our website, -in.com/donate. I'll also put in the chat box so you have access to it. But you are able to donate to either the COVID Response Fund, to Feeding America, or you may donate directly to any of the speakers if they so wish. Many speakers say they're good. They rather, defer their donations. So it's really up to the speaker. But if you do choose to donate to your speaker, just make sure you put their name in the notes section so that we know to send that money to them. There is a Q&A and a chat box. I will be moderating any of the questions, so feel free throughout the session to ask any questions. Matt will be talking for the most part, and we will save the Q&A for the end. So if you do have questions throughout, just know you're able to type it in at any time, but just please know we're going to wait till the end to answer them. Because Matt does have a lot to talk about, and I'm really excited to hear from you too. Again, Matt, so why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Awesome. Okay, great. Can everyone hear me? Well, it's sometimes it's nice to talk to one face besides my own, but I'll see if I can maybe. Okay, no worries. Well, let's see here. So yeah, it's a little odd to just talk to myself. Like I said, sometimes it's really helpful if even one person turned on their camera. It helps me direct my energy. So it says, okay, well, okay, awesome. I appreciate that. But also when I start screen sharing or something, you can go off. And also if there's a gallery view, even if I could see just like a bunch of squares, sometimes that really helps me to sort of play off real energy as opposed to looking at myself. So, okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Annette. We met at the Get It Made open house, right? At our office. Very cool. So yeah, I mean, I might as well just jump right into it, but thank you very much for asking me to speak about my experience and, my time in the industry so far. And if there is anyone out there that wants to donate, please give it to one of the charities that they're working with. That's what my wish would be. But, I really, when I speak, having a presentation and stuff, I've done that, and I do that oftentimes when I sell to the studios, and you have to, because you have to really walk through everything. But in these kinds of like fireside chats, I really like to be able to not just blabber about some structured sort of thing, and actually, so I'm very much open to having an open discussion with one of the attendees about something that they might, a specific scenario or a question that might need more attention. So I'm totally willing to do that and stop from blabbing away. So if anybody feels like having a direct conversation, I'm sure we're gonna have plenty of time for that. But without further ado, I'll get to blabbing. Okay, cool. So essentially getting your film made in the current Hollywood landscape, like what does that look like? For me, I came from this tiny little town in Florida, and it was like 20,000 people, and I had no idea really what it took. All I know is that I was drawn to movies, and I was drawn to the screen, and I was drawn to trying to figure out and reverse engineer and understand how that was happening and how they were able to get me to have an emotional experience while I was just watching these assembly of images. And it really plumes my imagination, and I lived in my imagination oftentimes in these, for me, as oftentimes people do in these small towns, there's not a whole lot to do. So imagination and escape was a way for me to broaden, my experience of the world. And it was really just in my head or in somebody else's world, like loving an artist or something. And, you know, when I came out to LA, it was just this, to me, it felt like it was like you had to be a scientist that knew physics to figure out how to do all this stuff. And I was just like, you know, and I went through years of just like self-doubt and all these problems. But, you know, being from a small town and coming into a big pond, essentially, I was faced with a choice. I either had to figure out how it was done or, you know, serve some other purpose in the industry that wasn't creative, that I didn't particularly want to do or enjoy my time there. You know, it wasn't where I wanted to spend my time, you know, because I spent a third of my time asleep, and then, you know, I spent a third of my time at work, and that, you know, that's the sleep time. I enjoy it, but I don't really get to, you know, get much from it besides rejuvenation. And then at work, if I'm not enjoying that time, then, you know, that's somebody else's benefit with using my time. So it was a hard, you know, sort of conundrum to work out. And, you know, lucky for me, I charge things when I have that sort of issue. And so I charged this problem with, I came here, didn't know anybody, didn't know a single person. I didn't know, you know, all I had was my misguided ideas of what the industry was and what movies were. All I had was what they meant to me. And sometimes that's not, well, oftentimes that's not nearly enough for other people to care. So I started from the very, very bottom, and I rode my bike around because I didn't even have a car. And now this is 2008 when I got here. And I rode my bike around, and I went to any place that looked like it did film stuff. And I walked in and I said I would work for free for a couple of weeks until they would see if I was worth much. So I would get to talk to the owners by saying like this odd thing. Hey, this guy out front says you work for free. So I would get to, like, you know, talk to these people. But eventually, time after time after time, nobody gave me any work except for one time. So that's the lesson here, is that it only takes one yes. You know, there's a million no's, it only takes one yes. But it happened to be in this lighting and camera world. And so I was spirited away, you know, into the union camera and lighting world. And so I got to play at the biggest levels next to, you know, the biggest directors and the biggest cinematographers. And I was so grateful. And, but I couldn't say a word. I couldn't talk to the guy. You know, it's like the military, the division of labor, and you don't just walk up and talk to the biggest director in the world just because you're on his crew. So there's etiquette. So it's called set etiquette. So again, I was, you know, just someone watching others do exactly what I wanted to do. Now, you know, it hurt to be there and to see other people do it, but also at the same time, it's how I learned exactly what worked and what didn't work. You know, along with me taking all my surplus that I got from working on those movies, I would take my surplus as much as I could after paying for my house and my family and whatever, and I would, you know, and I would squeeze every dollar out. You know, I buy clothes like once every 5, you know, I would buy clothes like once every 5 years because I would spend all my extra money on, you know, a composer or how to do this or make a little thing. So that's the world that I come from. And, you know, lucky for me, I got to watch the best people work. And I had serendipity many times where, you know, grew up watching Robert Downey Jr. and I got to do Avengers, and I got to do Captain America Civil War. And I got to, like, you know, be on the first unit crew and get that veil pulled and watch him walk in there just like a regular person, and, you know, and see a lot of those big stars, like, they're just having so much fun. And it wasn't like anything like I thought it was. I mean, you know, like I said, there's a division of labor. Like, they're having fun, so I don't get to just walk up and say, hey, what's up? It doesn't work like that. But still, you know, and everybody's walking around, and they're on these big stages and all these big lights, and I knew how to work all that equipment. So I had a good purpose to be there, and I listened and I learned, and I was super grateful for that. But the way that I actually got to make my own movies was I invested in myself, you know, and a lot of people might not have the faith And, you know, and I've suffered from terrible self-doubt and terrible self-image and all these, you know, things that keep people from doing what they love. But I also am plagued by the drive, you know, because I can't think of anything else. So I can't, it's like I'm just like stuck. So, you know, it pushed me forward enough to where 12 years later, you know, 2008 to now, you know, I own my own production company, and I have, you know, all this office space, and I own all my own cameras, and I make all of my bread and butter on, you know, music videos and branded content. And companies will come to me and say, oh, I've got this service and I've got this website, or I need a website and I need a video telling people what I do in this fun, exciting way. And I go, oh, and I just work with them all the way from the beginning to end to get this video, this big piece of marketing material that really quickly showcases what their services are to their customer base or their potential customer base. So I make that, you know, do awesome big music videos with Sony. I did Gashi and Black Bear, who are these upcoming, you know, Jesus, Black Bear is like one of the biggest artists in the world. But now, when I worked with him, he wasn't. But yeah, anyway, so I got to do all these cool things, and they pay and they keep the lights on, and they got me my cameras and they got me my stuff. But you know, it's still, as a kid, I'd watch feature films, or I'd watch entire television shows, and I'd get ingrained with these characters. So long form television, that's what I'm really like sort of driving at now. Long form television, long form feature films, a 90-minute movie, you know, at least a half-hour episodic, you know, show, or an hour oftentimes, which is the ones that most people fall in love with, because they spend years and years and years with these characters, these actors that are fed to you in an hour at a time over a week, but only 16 weeks a year. And then all this rumors and all, it's like this whole world that you get to live through episodic television, especially. Now, features are amazing in and of themselves, just standalone pieces, but that's what I'm talking about, is how do you get to do that? You know what I mean? It's like, cool, you know, the music videos, awesome, you know, the branded content, this, that, the commercials, I love it all. Love it. Thank you, God and heaven and everybody else that lets me do that for a living, and get to say, put the camera here, and can you say it this way, and blah, 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 and thank you. But, you know, that highest level, that's always, that drove me to get to where I am. You know, that still pushes me forward. That still gives me sleepless nights. So I still spend money, you know, buying intellectual property from unknown artists and stuff, and unknown people, and trying to flip it and go to the studios and the people that I met through all of my, you know, all of my experiences. And, you know, filmmaking is a collaborative effort. So I work with directors, and I work with producers, and I work with all sorts of different writers across all different genres. And I got all these things going. And for me, having multiple irons in the fire is really the only way I've seen that I can compete as someone who, my dad wasn't a director, you know, I didn't have some special talent given to me by the old gods and the new, to where I could sing, or I could just act amazing, or, you know, on the contrary, I had to work through all these, you know, issues of trying to figure out how to present my best self to people. And, you know, so I really fought for what I, you know, for what I have and what I want. So, you know, it's this big struggle. And, you know, now I find myself still fighting to do long form. You know, still I've done some really cool, you know, super low indie stuff that goes straight to sci-fi, or it's pre-sold. And, you know, I just did one in January with Eric Roberts, who's Julia Roberts' brother. So like that, you know, that was, you know, a treasure just to work with the guy. And you know, I didn't ask about his sister. I'm sure, obviously, like, why do you want my sister in the movie? It's like, oh shit. But you know, I just thought it was cool, like to find yourself there as essentially a fan who was driven to become a professional, or, you know, and if anybody else can sort of you know, relate or identify with, you know, wanting to take that path, you know, then that's what it was for me. It's like I couldn't sleep without wanting to do this stuff. So, but, you know, diverting, that's where I come from. You know, that's the world that I come from. That's how I got to where I am. I spent my own money. Then I convinced people that had money that needed videos to pay me to make theirs, because I showed them what I did with other stuff. Yeah, you know, like I said, I paid for a couple of my first movies, 3 of my first little, you know, short films. One of them was 60 grand, you know what I'm saying? So like that could have been a house, that could have been a million things. But the point being is that it got it started, right? And then now people pay me to do it, right? So yay. And it was a long 12-year slog to get here. But now, what about for other people? Do they have to take that path, you know? What about for everybody else that's coming here, that's you know, supposedly signed up to learn about how they would get their movie made, you know? So that's where I'm going to start to divert to talk about that. Now you guys know where I come from and what I did to get to where I am. I forced my way here with my own money, right? So now for others, right? What do they have to do? It's a hard thing to figure out, you know, like you have to be blessed by the gods to write an amazing script from the very beginning that people start bidding more over. Yeah, it happens. It happens every year. But, you know, 1 million scripts gets submitted and one gets to do this amazing thing. Like, then, you know, you might as well be blessed by the gods, or you might as well think that you won the lottery. So, you know, what is everybody else to do? Right. So you have that path of being part of the, you know, 0.01% and just it being, you always know, and you're just so much better than everybody else, and good for you. And that's amazing, you know, and kudos to those people that have that talent. But others, you know, they either have to take these wild, you know, haymakers and Hail Marys at their dream by like putting all their own money in it, or maybe they do a successful crowdfunding thing, and now they got 20 grand and they're trying to, you know, and they hire their friends and they do, you know, whatever, and they make these products, and then they see, you know, they see it putter out, if you can even get that far. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just start from you being amazing and it just happening for you all the way down to somebody, you know, either paying for it themselves or getting their friends to give them money via Kickstarter or whatever to make a movie. And then now they're there and they've made a movie and they put their blood, sweat, and tears and everything into that project. And then they go and it runs a couple festivals and people say, congratulations, your movie got accepted to the Joe Schmo Festival over here. And they're like, wow, that feels so good to have somebody recognize my art. And then you go to Joe Schmo's festival and you're sitting in the crowd with 10 people who all also have movies that are playing, and you're all just watching each other's fucking films. And you're like, what is this? How did this happen? How did we get here? And then you open your eyes to this giant screenplay contest world where, you know, and film festivals, that people take their hard work, they go to film school, or they do whatever, they take their hard work, they make this movie, and they go into these pipelines and they show each other their work. And at the end of it, the vast majority, I'm talking 99% of those films and those efforts, they have a shelf life and they go to chalked up as an amazing experience. I had such a great time here. Check out the behind the scenes, you know, asking people to watch the stuff, you know what I mean? Begging for people to watch your hard work, you know, because you think it's good, and that's great. And I did the same thing, and I fell in the same hole with those contests and all that stuff. And, you know, as a person who was self-made and dragged up all the way to where I own my own cameras, I own my own lights, I have all my own computers, and not only that, I know how to use it all. So being in a person in that position, I look back at what's available to people right now. What's available to the guy that just has the desire. Maybe his potential hasn't been realized yet. Maybe it hasn't clicked. Maybe the woman that is an actress that just needs to hear the right thing to snap her out of what's been in the way of her and being, having an emotional experience while everybody's looking. Like, you know, what's available to those kinds of people to move on their path, the 99%, the masses. It's these screenplay contests and it's these festivals. And you go and you do a forensics look at them and you're like, holy crap. They've taken millions and millions of dollars. Let's just start with screenplay contests. They say taken millions and millions of dollars, and all they do is give people written feedback, which is all the written feedback is designed to do, is to tell that writer just to go and rearrange your words again on the page one more time. And then what? you know, and all that submission money they get, they don't make movies with it. They don't take that money. They don't fund projects. They don't do any of that stuff. 2 organizations do that. You got Sundance Institute and you got Film Independent in Los Angeles. Those 2 organizations make movies. Everybody else, it's Johnny, Susan, and Jimmy, Joe, Jan in the middle of wherever, making an online presence, getting you to give them $60 or $50 or whatever, telling you, hey, you know, you did a great job of the character development here. It's really, so, but maybe if you made Susan fall down the stairs, it might be a better bet, you know, and then that's it. Single transaction, you're done. It's a dead end of endless feedback from people who don't make movies, from inexperienced opinions, from essentially fans of the industry, fans of movies and television. And that's how they've been able to survive. You know, organizations like the International Screenwriters Association, these kinds of organizations are dead ends that have, you know, are designed and built to keep you forever in perpetuity getting better. You know, they're not geared toward production. So, you know, that's screenplay contest world, right? And then you have the film festivals. Let's say you're one of the people that go that extra mile. And just let me know, see, I told you I could blab. Let me know if I'm running out of time or anything. But, you know, I'm just keeping it real. So, and I saw somebody said, thanks for keeping it real. So I'm going to keep going with that. But, you know, now we'll start with the film festivals. It's the same exact thing. Let's say that you're an amazing artist, that you believe in yourself so much that you get to Kickstarter, or you paid for it yourself and you got over that hump and you made that movie. And now you're trying to get people to see, and you go into the festival world, you know, and you're submitting to Johnny Joe's and this and that, because you don't know that the only festivals worth you know, submitting to are the ones that you know you'll never get into, because they, you know, the films that get into those festivals have Joaquin Phoenix in the movie, or they have the 150 actors that are just recycled through every single project in Hollywood because they've got a chokehold on every single movie from here to Timbuktu, and they're not going to accept that your passion's good enough for getting into their festival and mingling with their people and being that 1%, which, you know, I'm not gonna go off into capitalism and all of us, you know, being pit against each other so they can keep their money and steal our potential for amazing opportunities in the world. So I'm just gonna, you know, put that aside. But essentially it's a club and you have to just do something amazing, which sucks, you know? So it's really, really difficult. And you have these dead end organizations and dead end festivals that even when you do get over that insurmountable challenge, like here, I'm going to turn off my camera so you can see the logo. This guy pushing the film reel up the hill, you know, that's from the myth of Sisyphus. You know, the idea of the absurd task of pushing a boulder up a hill just to watch it roll back down at the end of your hard work, and you have to go do it again. What the heck is the point of that? You know what I mean? So, you know, with that image in mind, it's like, we still do it. We still do it in spite. Somebody says they don't see it, but it's the production company logo, whatever. It's the guy pushing a film reel up the hill. It's just a play on, you know, the Greek character pushing that rock up the hill, just to have the meaning, the idea that, you know, the only meaning is what you put into it. From the outside, they're like, why are you pushing a boulder up a hill just to have it roll back down to do it again? It's like, well, what else do you want me to do? Go work for you? What do you want me to do? Go bag groceries? What the fuck do you want me to do? I'm going to push this boulder up the hill until it stays up there until I die. And that means that you put passion, you put your own meaning into whatever it is you're going to do. So if you're going to be that person, you know, then you're going to have to push past all this stuff. And as someone who's very passionate and who had to deal with all these jokers and had to deal with a fucking composer saying, yeah, here, check out my work, blah, blah, blah. And then come and give me some, you know, I gave him red and he comes back and gives me blue or whatever. It's like, you know, I had to learn all that stuff the hard way. And it's really frustrating and it kills people's dreams. And I see them in droves go back to from whence they came and do something else, you know? I probably would do that if I wasn't going back to my doom. I mean, there's nothing to do in my hometown. So, you know, me being a low level position here is still better than that. So I get it. People have to settle and realities come in. But if I'm going to sort of wrap up and then kick it to anybody else, or maybe, you know, sort of wind down from all this to make my final point. And I know this might feel a little opportunistic. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But me having gone through all this stuff and learning the hard way, and now putting all my stuff on paper and having the lawyer and all that stuff all in place, and if people don't want to go through those hoops, bye-bye, no problem. Knowing all that now, I have figured out a method, you know, through this thing, Get It Made X. This is this program that I've created where people that are serious can come together. They can get it all in one place. Now, when I say it, I don't want to go through what all of it is. It's a lot. We have our own app. We have our own way of teaching how to take off bite sizes of your script, so you're not, you know, racing to try to be under the delusion that somebody's going to make your 90-page screenplay when they don't know who you are. You have no one that's done known stuff attached to you, blah, 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 blah. You know, people that want to come in and seriously take the chisel and the hammer and chip away at a big old slab of marble until they make their version of David. We have this thing called Get It Made X. You have to get accepted to it. We don't just let you come in. Yeah, you have to pay for it. It's $60 a month. I pay $1,000 a year to my union, and I have certain benefits. I have certain protections. At the end, I have a golden egg, and that's my retirement. Yeah, it takes me 30 years to get there. But just, you know, knowing that those are all guarantees for me, I continue to pay into that. I continue to keep those protections, get those benefits. At the end, it's all going to mean something to me. The younger guys are going to pay my retirement, and you know, it's going to be a good thing. It's an investment in myself. All we did was organize Get It Made X the exact same way. All the membership dues that they pay, they go into a pot with all of our surplus money, plus all of our cameras and all of our ability to put someone onto the known project. All of that goes into a pot. The members compete for the funds to make their version of the story. So let the best, you know, survival of the fittest, let the best work go first. But if you're a member and you are paying your dues, that's stacking up into a production account for you. Meaning one day you're going to be vested. One day you're going to get to retire. You won't have to compete. Your project will automatically go into production, right? So that's the sort of, you know, amongst other things. Like I said, we crowdfund for people. We also do fast tracks for people. If, like, you know, somebody can, as long as they're a member of Get It Made X, they can walk into our organization, walk into a production company, skip all the middlemen that need their cut, and say, I have this concept. I have $5,000. I want to see it through from inception to completion. What does that look like? You know what that looks like? It looks like not a short film. That's what it looks like. It looks like, don't make a standalone piece. Whatever you do, don't just make something that has a shelf life. And we as an organization actually made that mistake ourselves 4 times. So if you go onto our website, getitmade.la, you can see we have 2 different programs. Once a year, we make 1 film. We've done that 4 times. They were short films because we weren't thinking properly, because we were dum-dums, but they helped the writer move on. A lot of those writers, you could see their little blurbs of the stories of what happened. The last girl went on, Jenna Wyckoff went on to be a staff writer on a big show on the OWN network. Awesome, that's very cool. As a production company, it's a loss on our P&L. That $10,000 that we spent on that, we can't sell it. You know what I mean? So we were thinking, like, how can we figure this out? Finally, 5 years later, we did Get It Made X, which is the spin-off program, which does multiple films per year, but they're called proof of concept films. Now, a lot of people might think that they have an idea of what that is, of what a proof of concept is. It's a very, very, very challenging task to accurately, with excitement and intrigue, tell what your world is the world of your story is like. What is going to make people want to spend 90 minutes, an hour and a half of their waking life on your stuff? You know, what is it about the story? Does it remind them of their uncle? Oh, my dad used to do that. Oh my God. Cover their face, start crying in the theater. Oh my God. Oh my God. Never forget. Never forget. What is it about it? Is it about these actors that are somehow able to channel the end? You got to find whatever that is, because the other people have to care. You caring is what gives it the seed, makes it grow. Now, in order to have the people come around and look at the flowers and go, holy shit, this dude's garden, or this woman's garden is so amazing, you have to have figured it all out. You have to spend time on why you're doing this. So that's why we make proof of concept films. So we take people's, whether it's an idea, but the best place to be as a writer or content creator would be to start with a feature film or a pilot episode of television, even 22 pages. You can start there. And what you do is you reverse engineer it. And if you're a member of Get It Made X, you work with all of our producers, all the known people that come through our organization that have done known television shows, that have a history of filmmaking that you can verify. The same guy with his picture on the IMDb with all the big stuff is the guy that comes on the Zoom and talks directly to you. That's only through Get It Made X. You know, when you get a guy like, you know, whatever the guy's name is that does the ISA, he comes on and he tells you his opinion. And if you look him up, there's literally nothing impressive about the history there. So and I only use that as an example to just do your research on people. Why are you going to listen to someone that could send you off into doubt or could do all sorts of stuff to your fragile desires? You know, watch out who you listen to. Go and verify them. It's really easy. Just Google them before you talk to them. It's not that hard. You know what I'm saying? Watch out who you talk to. Watch out who you give money to. Make sure you verify that. But proof of concept for us is a thing that you have to work at. You know, it took me 12 years to figure it out. It took me 12 years to get an 8 on the blacklist. I'm a writer, you know, and I wrote a movie outside of my experience, and that was the first thing that got recognition. It was about a group of North African migrants stuck in a shipping container based on a true story. You know, all the movies I made before were me, about my brother or whatever, you know, so it's just a good lesson, you know, like other people have to care about the material. And then, you know, the material's getting me more and more stuff, but I'm a writer as well. But I'm a producer. I have all the cameras. I know what it takes. I know the people. I know the loyal people. I know the good people. I have a payment structure and all my payroll set up. Come directly to the source, you know? You can't go to Bad Robot because they're making giant movies with other people. You know, you can't go there, you know, and you can't go anywhere else to not get ripped off, you know? Let's say you win the Nichols Fellowship and you get $30,000. What are you going to do? Go to some random a production company, they don't know you, they're going to pick that money into 1,000 little pieces and give two shits if your project works or not. You know, they're not going to work with you in develop meetings to figure out what's the long goal. Like, how can we show this, this, and this to make people go, oh, damn, what's going to happen next? You can rearrange beats of a story that way if you think about it hard enough. If you add extra creative energy, which is what we do. Proof of concepts, we get it right on the page with the writer as producers. This is what we can do. We know we have this and this and this. If you say it like this, boom. Then we go get a director. We get them attached to the material. We give them the opportunity to put their creative energy into it, but we give them a starting piece of material that they're excited about. Then they lend us their energy. Then we go off and we fund it, we shoot it. Then we get known talent to look at our work and then sign on to our package because we buy naming rights. Then we have this big package of artists who are all ready to go. And when we go to AFM or we go to the studios and have these little meetings and they're like, what are you working on? I'm like, well, what do you want? I got all this stuff. And not only do I have it on paper, I got a freaking awesome, perfectly produced 5-minute version of what this is going to be. And they go, oh shit, all I got to do is inject some funds into this group of artists and a product will emerge. So that's how you get your film made in the current climate of Hollywood. So I hope all 8 people that heard this talk get something from that. But I think I'm going to see if there's any questions or anything that I can sort of.
Yeah, we got a bunch. We got a bunch in. So, okay, I'll start with the one I got. I'll just go down the list here. So, Anonymous asks, in 2020, does working on union gigs, TV, streaming, feature films, require a certain amount of credentials or volunteer work before being accepted to work and get paid on a union set?
Such a great question. So hard too, man. Hollywood, it's like a freaking castle and
A labyrinth.
yeah, and you know, it's like the worst kind of castle in the 8th century where like if you mess up, they gut you in front of your whole family and throw lettuce at you. It's just like, what the heck? But getting in a union is a catch 2020, man. It's like the way I got in the lighting and camera union was I offered my services for free, and my services were my back, my hands. I'll pick that up. I'll clean that off. I'll take that piece of steel and I'll put it in the truck. No problem. Just tell me what to do. Show me one time. All you have to do is show me one time, pick it up, put it over here. Show me one time I got it. Boom, boom, boom. I did that to as many people as possible. Now, navigating personalities is the hardest part. People are going to talk shit. They're going to say things under their breath. You're going to go, fuck you. And you're never going to talk to them again. You're going to almost get into fights with people on set. If you're passionate enough to follow this all the way to the end, you know, you might not be that kind of person. So if you're lucky, then somebody treats you like that, you walk away from them. You don't work for them. You don't let them treat you badly. And you don't let it blow up to the point where you have to tell them to screw off. But you got to go and find people. Hey, what do you do? Oh, you're in the union. Oh, you're a gaffer. Oh, you're in Local 728. What's that? Look that shit up. Oh, Local 728 is a group of electricians who know a specific skill for set lighting in movies and television. Oh, okay. So can't be that hard. Well, it's not, but it does take a little bit of time to know every little piece of equipment and how the guy wants you to set it up and how you walk it into set by the actors. Don't hit fucking whatever you do. Don't let the steel hit them in the kneecap or run into the set and you know, all that kind of stuff. You got to learn that. And people's energy is like being on a set and you're like, oh, well, eager beaver, you want to go and help and like run. And next thing you know, you knock something over and you're done. You know, it's like, it's this world that it's forgiving because, you know, there's a lot of movies. You could just jump to the next movie, meet the next person. But here's the main thing to answer that question. You got to meet people. Go out. Hey, my name's so-and-so. I want to be, what do you want to be? You want to do camera first? Do you want to be a producer? Do you want to be a director? Sorry, that's not going to work. Start smaller. Start something realistic. You want to do sound? You want to do art department? All those things have a path into a union which gets you into IATSE, which is the biggest labor union in our country and in Canada. So that's where you want to be because that's your union. You have to pay dues, but they give you good wages and they protect your wages from the producers getting their giant gross profits and all that stuff. And maybe if you're lucky and you're resilient, you can work your way up and be a producer one day. Then maybe direct your own stuff. And then maybe if you're super lucky, and you follow this path all the way through, you might be able to make something that was amazing just enough to get you in a human archive so future generations can reference your work over and over and over. So yeah, you got to keep asking people. They'll put you on a non-union show that flips. It's a catch-22 world. You got to go learn about it. Pick one. Then go meet those people. Look at their little mixers. Go up there. Hey, I want to be in the art department. Hey, I want to be in this. Figure one out. You say just union work? You got to pick a union because PAs, production assistants, don't have a union. Figure one of them out. You know, if you're a woman, go do lighting. They'll teach you a whole bunch of stuff and you won't have to lift a bunch of BS. I mean, yeah, you got to get, you know, lifting is a lot of the work, but they need more women in that union, things like that. So that's my 2 cents.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Next question. Getting films made now takes money, financial investments, and in order to get a production made and build a body of work, how does one get that done with little or no money to start? I know you mentioned crowdfunding, but if maybe you can kind of go into that a little bit more too.
Sure. Well, we are the only organization in the world that offers someone to put their movie on layaway. If they come in to Get It Made X, they pay $60 a month. They get into this giant community, all of these things, they get feedback, continuous places to go that is designed to get them into production. So that's the cheapest way I can ever tell you possibly is you go to our organization, pay $60 a month and you compete. Some people pay $60 a month and on the third month, their script wins the whole thing and they get their whole movie funded. You know what I'm saying? Like that's available, but that's still, you know, like winning the lottery, except for, you know, in our organization, the odds are much more favorable because we don't have 10,000 submissions. We only accept up to 500 people per group. So your odds are always at least 12 and 500, because when we are at capacity at 500, we're making one movie every single month, one proof of concept film every single month. And that means that they're fully funded by our money, by the membership dues. And so the person that wins doesn't have to pay, right? But that's the winning the lottery part. Some people, I can only make 12 a year at 500. Right now, we're not at 500. We're not scaling up that big right now. We only invited 100 screenwriters when we first launched January 1st, 2020. But the point is that it's hard to win one of those because, somebody wins. Yes, somebody wins. Somebody wins a lot. 12 times, that's a lot. So, don't get me wrong. But if you're not winning, just stick to it. Stick to your, push that boulder up the hill. That's another path, right? Or, get a little bit of money, $1,200. We offer all these, we have this resource center, all these ways that we're willing to engage with you. You know what I mean? So go purchase a crowdfunding campaign. Talk to someone who's purchased it. Ask us. Go ask them how it helped them, how it's helping them. Don't let us try and, oh, you should buy this thing. It doesn't matter. Obviously, things cost money to get people's time, get them, the proper people to do it. So you got to find it. Whether one year you get your tax return and you get $1,200 and you buy a crowdfunding campaign, you team up with an organization like Absurd Hero and they wrap all their past amazing work to boost your presence in your network, so you actually can source that first $5,000 that you need to seed your voice in the industry and get your foothold and try to see if you can, get past the castle walls, whatever. That's up to you. We have a chance to win the lottery, and we have a chance for people to come in and take control of their own fate and all the stuff in between. So I hope that ever answers that question.
Yeah, and to speak to that, Matt, because Matt used to actually host a lot of events in his production house, and I've been there, and it's awesome setup. I think you have a giant T-Rex or something somewhere. Yeah, so it's awesome. I've been to his events, and actually, I do have a success story to share with everybody. I'm a screenwriter. I've been hustling my ass off for like a year and a half. I entered 1 million screenwriting contests. I won. I think total I've won 16 accolades in that first year, which was awesome. And the feedback I was getting it was so varied. And it's like, I don't even know who to listen to, because one person said, this is perfect. And then literally the next screenwriting gave me like a 0 and was like, this sucks. I'm like, it's just so varied. But what I wanted to share was I was going to all these networking events. I was going our friend Erman, who puts on a lot of these events also. I was literally signing up for every single one. I was driving from Temecula to LA, which is where I live. It's at about 1 hour and 40 minutes on a good day, 2.5 hours on a bad day. So I was going there and I was driving back and forth coming home, and, but eventually what happened was after going to all those events for a year, I met a producer at your event who needed a new writer. And guess what? I got hired to write my first theatrical release film, and I got hired to write the TV spinoff for it because they were so impressed. And without your, the way your community, bringing everybody to community just to connect with each other, and maybe I'm not working with you, but because of you, I now have work. And I will remember you for that. And I'll tell everybody about Get It Made and Absurd Hero. And I tell them about Matt because you provided me that opportunity. And this is, it's priceless. It's priceless. And when that moment hits you, I want to hire you, I wanted to die. It was the most amazing. And if it wasn't for your events, I would have it would probably take me a lot longer to find that one moment. So I did want to just share that with you. So thank you.
Man. That's one of the nicest things I've ever heard. Honestly, thanks to Erman Barati, he's the one that pulls all those people together. Yeah, I'm a nuts and bolts kind of guy. I'll figure out how to get the tables and chairs there and how to make the cameras work and just to stream it to YouTube and, and all that stuff. But Erman, he has built a network of people on authenticity, you know, and there's no predatory nature to the events at all, you know, whereas like, and I, you know, like I say this a lot, but the ISA, I've had my experience with them, and I've just am flabbergasted at every every exchange, every corner they're trying to get another single transaction. Oh, you know, here's another thing. Oh, you should do feedback. Oh, you should do a table read. Oh, you should, and they forever push the work into a purgatory of feedback, and that's the purpose. It's not meant for production because they don't know how to make movies. And there's a million organizations like that. You know, even Scriptapalooza and Screencraft, all these people, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars per year and make 0 movies. I keep looking at my hair. Right?
Don't worry. I think all of our hair is in need of a haircut. So,
It's so
you're good.
But I, you know, it's crazy. And thank you so much for saying that. But really, Erman is the heart of the authenticity. He doesn't attract the weasels.
No, and that's something that I noticed, because when I was starting a network, I was like, this is such old school Hollywood. Why do I have to start as a PA and take out garbage? And, you know, like, I understand the work ethic, but I was just like, it seems like the older Hollywood was almost hazing us. And it really kind of, so I've heard horror stories of how PAs are treated and things that happen on set. And I always thought to myself, why is it this way? Why can't it be something else? And it's so refreshing to see people like you and Erman who are trying to kind of restructure how Hollywood is built and based on authenticity rather than money or connections. So thank you for doing that, because that's awesome. You and Erman are doing good things.
Thank you. And real quick, just to wrap up, I mean, that's amazing that you got that job. I love that. And, you know, I've been to Erman's events and got 2 music videos out of talking with one of his panelists. So that's, you know, I love that. That's amazing. That's how it works. And your work must have been standout. It must have been better than most, because that's an unusual story. You know what I'm saying? It's an unusual story. So, you know, congratulations on getting hired, you know, to write a screenplay. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And, you know, of going to these kinds of events enables someone to skip the line like that, then I'm like, wow, that's even another way. It's like, okay, yeah, you can pay, get it made X, you can do this, or you can show up to a million events, talk to everybody, see who's hiring, and see who's real and who not, and who actually has some money or who's looking for what. And, you know, you got to be in LA. Like you said, you drove 2.5 hours to come and get that kind of stuff. Zoom calls are also amazing. You know, afterwards you can say to that person, hey, blah, 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 send them an email, see if they respond to you. Obviously don't hound them. You know, you send an email. If they send back, then you send another one. And these relationships are fragile. Don't ask them for shit. Like, you know, like, see if you can help, see what you can do. Ask them for advice. Ask them to tell you their story. That's what you should do. Start a conversation that way. If you ask for shit, man, you're getting slapped up, dude. You
need to create a connection and not just ask for something when the other person doesn't even know who you are.
Yeah.
So we have so many questions, so I really want to get to everybody.
So I was like thinking maybe if you wanted to put my put an email in there, and then people could email their questions, and if you put Mark, M-A-R-K, at getitmade.la. He works with me. He's one of my colleagues, and he helps keep me organized. So he can easily get those questions in line, and I could do a video, and I could send it to a link to those same emails that asked the questions if people want to go that far.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But in our last 10 minutes, I can do my best.
Okay, let's do it. So what was the name of the organization that OS geared towards production in LA? Mentioned along Sundance Institute.
Oh, it's called Film Independent. You can actually pay $250 a year and be a member of their organization. And that $250 is, you can write it off. It's because they're a 501c3. And for that $250, you get to talk to like a producer that works with them, and you get to use one of their little spaces if you're casting, or if you need to do a pre-production meeting. I was so new when I had the membership, I had no need for those things. So they sort of, you know, I never used them. and now I don't need them. But, you know, Film Independent, it's called Film Independent. They were responsible for the Los Angeles Film Festival, which is now done. So.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And then Mark asked, I was in Get It Made earlier this year, but had to drop out. Do I have to requalify to rejoin?
Mark, awesome, cool. I'm glad that you, you know, see the value again. You would have to get readmitted. I mean, it's just the way it is. So if you have the desire to get readmitted, then I would send a message to GIMX. I know that's so funny because it's Get It Made X, but it sounds like gimmicks. My little brother keeps making fun of me. He's like, "What is this? A gimmick? Like, what is this? What is this company? A gimmick?" GIMX at getitmade.la. That's an easy way to start the application process again. And yeah, so very cool.
Okay. And then someone asked, they might have missed it. Does Get It Made X do proof of concept for TV pilots?
Of course. The proof of concept that Charlie, what are their two names? The guys that made It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It was like shot on these handy cams, but they're so funny. So they were like, all they did was say, they showed the executives, look at this, and they all laugh and they go, "We can do that anywhere. Imagine us in the grocery store fighting over a cucumber." And they're like, "Wah, wah, wah." Like, imagine us at a bar. You know what I mean? Like, that's all they did was create this formula. So if you got a formula, dude, like, come, let's go. Or we can help make a formula with you, because that's the thing, you know, we do these monthly things. Every single month you're working with a peer. Every single month you're working with a producer. Every single month you're getting a phone call. Then you do it again. Then you do group coaching. Then you do all these things. And one day you're like, dude, every time I send this thing to somebody, they laugh their ass off. I'm ready. Or holy shit, this thing just got fucking chosen and made. Oh my God, I'm going to be whisked away, which happens all the time, you know, and we purposefully record those people. And you can look at all of our videos on youtube.com/getitmade. You can see all the people and, like, you know, they speak for themselves. I don't have to go on there and sell the thing. I'm just like, ask the guy that won. You know what I mean? That's it. So hope that answers that.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, our chat is pretty lit. But for most part, everyone said this is an awesome program. I've been a member since the start.
Looks like we got members of Get It Made on there. Hi.
Yeah. Tina Field is there. She commented. Anonymous said that a lot of their awesome story. Everything you're saying is true. It's been their personal experience as well. So everyone, and Tina also said the weekly lessons are excellent too. So, and Rose said, I just want to say hi and you guys are amazing. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Very cool. I mean, just to wrap up, you know, the importance of what we're doing here is working with industry professionals and then packaging those same people with our projects for the sole purpose of having a product for sale. We as much as I'm talking shit about the studios and all that stuff, that's where you have to be. That's where you want to be. So it's just like, all I'm talking shit about is like, dude, that's so hard. Like that puzzle, like that's like a 1,000,000-piece puzzle. Like, you know, I'm looking at the studios, like when I come into LA and you're like, oh, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you get here and you're like, and then somebody's like, oh yeah, all you have to do is this. And you're like, all I have to do is what? A 1,000,000-piece puzzle? It's like, it's going to take me 10 years. It's like, yep, 10,000 hours, buddy. Get used to it. That's how you become a master.
Yeah. And like, there's never a clear cut path. Cause like, I know Armand, when he puts on those events and has like panels and other networking events I've been to, they always say like, this is how I got started, but it's not a path that works for everyone, because like my chance was literally like 1 in a million. Yeah. Like, you know, it's so hard. So it's like, you can never give somebody a clear cut answer. Like, how do I get to the top? Because everyone's experience is so different. So you just have to keep, like you said, pushing that boulder up. And if that boulder falls down, maybe you've done it, pick another boulder to try for in the meantime. You just have to keep going. You have to. And one of the things I learned in that industry is that I learned to take very good constructive criticism, because I used to get really personal about my work and I would not be able to read constructive criticism. It would like crush me as a writer. But then I learned like, I'm never going to get better if I just I just take everything that I'm hearing and try to just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep getting better and better and better. You have to be the best to get to the top. Like, you have to be one of the best, and you have to work your ass off for it. And it does pay off. It will pay off. I don't really know anybody that's been trying for 20, 30 years to break in. A lot of my cinematographer friends, director of photography friends, a lot of them, like, he spent 5 years breaking into the cinematography industry, but guess what? He landed a gig with Steven Spielberg. Like, that's awesome. And it's not typical, but it is possible. So my advice to everybody too is just to not get discouraged. It does suck. It's a long road, and it's really going to test whether or not you're really passionate enough to get to the top. And you have to just accept that you have to work your ass off to get to the top, and it's going to be an uphill battle. This is not an industry where they give you handouts unless you really know someone at the top. But again, like, for majority of us, we worked our ass off to get up to that top.
100%. And if you just roll up your sleeves and go to work, you'll start seeing your work getting better and better and better. And when you hit 5,000 hours, it'll start to get good. And then when you hit 10,000, that's when at any moment it could happen for you. And that's where it says it only took 20 years to become an overnight success. So right when you get to that 10,000 hours, you'll start to feel it all around you. It'll, and I know a lot of people that have done a lot of amazing things, and they told me they either knew or they could feel it coming. So, and that's because all they did was fucking play the guitar, or all they did was fucking shoot shit. All they did was talk to actors. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. And at 10,000, you'll start to notice you're getting good at 5, but at 10,000 hours, things will start to tingle. And then when you make it once, then you got to do it again. And then you got to see how you can help everybody else to remain relevant and what are you going to give instead of what are you going to take? Because when you give, you get, and especially at this highest level, give. People are going to say your name all the time, and they're going to want to hire you and stuff. But I think that's good, right? Do you think that's a good talk?
I think it was awesome. I learned a lot too. And I love seeing your face again, Matt. It's been a while. I think the last time I saw you is November. So it's been a while. So it's good to see you again.
Awesome, everybody.
All right. Thanks so much, Matt.
Anything else?
The last comment we have is your consistent motivation and forward thinking is infectious, Matt. And everyone's saying it. They enjoyed it. And thank you.
Awesome.
So thank you, Matt. Like, this was so awesome. Everybody's going to get a copy of this recording. Also, it's usually about 24 hours after the session's over. Feel free to pass it along to your friends, whoever you think might find this talk valuable. Visit Matt's website. Actually, I was invited to join Get It Made, but right when I joined Get It Made, or I was going to join Get It Made, I got hired to write the movie.
That's perfect.
So, yeah, so I was like, okay, but I actually really do want to dive into that, because now I'm learning. I'm going to try and immerse myself in as much knowledge as I possibly can. So I actually am.
You got to get the next gig. You got to get the next gig.
Yes, you have to keep going. You can't stop. You cannot stop hustling for a second. Do not get comfortable.
Buying. If you're in LA and getting Erman's, annual pass and being a member for Erman is much cheaper. And if you go into the meetings and stuff and show up and talk and put yourself out there, you might have a possibility like Annette to skip the line. But if you're outside of LA and you still dream about all this and stuff, Get It Made's going to be the closest thing that you can get to being here. So.
And it's the most affordable also, in my opinion. So it really is. And the stuff that you're providing for value it's phenomenal. You can't get that anywhere else. So, and you could, but you have to piece it all together and figure it out. You're kind of cutting the line, essentially, right? Coming to the front of the line for this one. So I really love the program. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. And I don't think we have any more questions. So everyone said thank you. So again, Matt, I'm sure we will have you back, because this was awesome and we do want to see your face again. So looking forward to hearing from you again. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.